غرباء 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 غرباء.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. For the past week here in Green Lane Masjid, since Sunday, all of the topics and all of the classes have been centered around the rights that the elderly have from amongst us. So for those of you who want to go back, you can go to the Ustream, to the Green Lane site to see the wealth of information that Allah Azza wa Jalla has revealed in the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in the authentic Sunnah concerning this issue that we're going to continue today. And the reason why we're dealing with this is from what we see and what we recognize from some of the behavior of the Muslim youth towards those people who are older than them, especially out in the streets, using the public transportation. Just generally how the generation that's coming up right now have absolutely no respect for people who are older. If you want to know the true level of a civilized community or an individual, then just look at how they deal with the elderly. If they protect and they take care of the pension of the elderly when they come up with their new tax laws and reforms, if they have the elderly in mind, then that's a sign and an indication of civilized people. In this masjid right now, almost all of us, without any exception, we're connected to people who are older than us. All you have to do is look around in the line that you are in, and you'll see some of the shayukh of this community and some of the elderly sisters who are upstairs. These people are not ordinary, regular people. They are people that Allah Azza wa Jal has given them a special position in this religion, and it's part of Islam and Iman for us to deal with them a certain way. The bus driver, who is an elderly person, deserves to be dealt with a certain way. The elderly person who gets in your car, your taxi, who's crossing the street, the one who comes into your store, the one who buys something from you or sells something to you, he's not a regular person, whether he's a Muslim or a kafir. And this problem that happened in France the other day, I don't know what happened, I wasn't there, I can't say anything, but if it is true that that person killed those innocent people, it is connected to what we've been talking about and what we're talking about here today. And that young people, 23, 24 young people, the shabab, it is possible that a young person can throw his life away trying to solve a problem in the wrong way. But you're not going to find older people behaving like that. An old person can be at the age of 75 and he feels, I'm going to die soon, so I want to get revenge for the poor, innocent Muslim children of Palestine who were murdered. I want to get revenge for them. I'm going to go out and kill innocent people. Old people are not going to do that because they're going to weigh all of the issues. They're not going to do it, nor will they endorse it. And that's why the Nabi told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-baraka ma'a akabirikum. The blessings, they're with those people who are older. People who are older, they tend to have some experiences and common sense that younger people don't have. The Prophet describes, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, those people who follow the way of the Khawarij. People will kill anyone. I don't mean that that brother who they said did that is from the Khawarij. I'm talking about a mindset. The Nabi said about the Khawarij, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in describing them, he said that they were hudatha al-asnan, sufaha al-ahlam. They have small teeth, they're immature in the way that they think and the way they behave, and they have crazy, far-fetched ideas. Whereas the older man and the older woman, they tend to weigh issues from all of the angles, and they then tend to act accordingly. Concerning the older people in this religion, elderly people, an Arab came to the Nabi, a Bedouin, he said, Ya Rasulullah, who's the best person from amongst us in our community? He told him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, man tala umruhu wa hasuna amalahu. The one who lives for a long time and he has good deeds. He comes to Jummah, he prays in the first row, he fasts in Ramadan, he makes Hajj, he makes Umrah, he reads the Quran, he does the dhikr of Allah, he has children, he gives them tarbiyah, he works and he takes care of his family. Those are the best people in this ummah. They're not like regular people. The people lived a long time. The Nabi told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, من شاب شيبة في الإسلام كانت له نورا يوم القيامة. Anyone who grows and develops white hair, man or woman, while being the Muslim, that white is going to come as a source of nur for him, yawm al-qiyamah, even from al-iman. He told us, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that respecting the elders is tantamount to respecting Allah and having the ta'zeem and the ijlal of Allah. Inna min ijlalillahi ta'ala ikram, this shaybat al-Muslim. From respecting Allah is the fact that you respect an older person, even if they happen to be kuffar. A non-Muslim comes on the bus and you get up and you give him or her the seat because they're older. That's a sign and an indication that you're an individual who respects Allah Azza wa Jal. There was an old man who came to the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the people were sitting there and they were many. The old man wanted access to the Nabi, so he started to walk through the people, and the people looked at him and they took their time to open up the way. They didn't hurry up to make it easy and make the access easy to the Nabi. The Prophet told them sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Man la yarham saghirana laysa minna, man la yarham saghirana wa la yuwaqqiru kabirana." He is not from us, the one who doesn't have mercy upon our youngsters and he doesn't respect the elders. Making the way easy for him to get from point A to point B is a sign of respect. The shoes that we leave at the forefront right here, these shoes are a sign of lack of respect to the elders. It's a sign of lack of respect. And that's because if one of us were to trip over a pair of shoes, we're going to bounce right up and we're going to wipe it off and we're going to keep it moving and go about our business. But when the older person trips over a pair of shoes or he trips over your leg, he is going to break his hip. He's going to break his wrist. So what we have to do in their regard, like the Nabi told the people, is make the access easy for them. Make the way easy for them. In another narration of that hadith, he said he's not from us. مَنْ لَا يَعْرِفْ لِكَبِيرِنَا حَقَّهُ. The one who doesn't know the rights of the elders, he's not from us. He doesn't even know his haqq. They don't have just one haqq, they have many huquq. And that's what we want to deal with today. What are some of the rights of the elderly, your relatives and your non-relatives? Even the elderly who are kuffar. Even the elderly who are kuffar. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to prepare his army when they were going to go out to make jihad. The real jihad of al-Islam. Not the facade of killing innocent people. You go up to any elderly person in this religion and say, hey, those Jews, they oppressed our brothers in Palestine and they killed those children. Would you allow me? Would you agree? Would you give me money? I want to go to a Jewish synagogue or a school and I want to kill them indiscriminately. Every old person who is sane is going to say, A'udhu billah, A'udhu billah. What is the connection between those innocent people and those children who you're not given an opportunity to learn about Islam? There were Jews in the past who became Muslims, and there are Jews who will continue to become Muslims. Who are you to wipe their lives out? And the fact that other Jews oppressed our brothers or oppressed us doesn't give anybody the right to kill innocent people. That's not from the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. In our religion, the non-Muslim elder even has respect. The Prophet would prepare the people and he would tell the mujahideen sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, intaliqu bismillah wa billah wa ala millati rasulillah wa la taqtulu shaykhan thaniya. You mujahideen, go out in the name of Allah and go out seeking the protection of Allah and go out and fight according to the religion of Rasulullah, and don't kill the shaykh who is old. The shaykh who is old, who the Muslims are fighting, usually is going to be a non-Muslim. The Muslims are not going to go and make jihad against other Muslims. He's going to go out to fight non-Muslims. And the Nabi said, don't kill the shaykh who's old. Don't kill the children. Don't kill the women. So whether it is a Muslim elder or a non-Muslim elder, older people have a position in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. They have huquq. From their many huquq is that we have to give ihsan to them. Ihsan is a far-reaching, comprehensive meaning in the deen of Allah. It generally means to do good in any shape, form, or fashion. in the story of Yusuf, salawatullahi wassalamuhu alayhi, when Yusuf decided to come up with a plan in order to keep his brother Binyamin held back so that his brothers will go back to Yaqub and will tell him that he was with Yusuf because he stole something. The people of the Yahud, who the Yahud came from, those brothers with their characteristics and their descendants are similar to them. Those brothers said to Yusuf, Ya ayyuhal aziz, inna lahu aban shaykhan kabira, fakhudh ahadana makanahu, inna naraka min al-muhsinin. Don't keep him. He's the youngest son of our father, and he has an old father, Yaqub. He's an old man, and he's a big sheikh, and we see you as a person who has ihsan. From al-ihsan is that they knew that Yusuf, who was doing good to them, since he was a muhsin, he's going to care about the feelings of the older man. That's our religion. We have to have ihsan to them. That's the deen of Allah. And as I mentioned, ikhwani, that ihsan implies and entails a lot of things, a lot of issues from the ihsan that they are owed by us, and what we have to give to them is the ihsan of taking care of them and being in their service and giving them the khidmah, making the masjid easy for them. They need places to sit in chairs, we provide it for them. They are in wheelchairs and they have special needs, we make it easy for them to use the toilets, akramakum Allah, and the facilities are easy for them. We open up the door for them. It's giving them the khidmah. Your relatives who are old and other than that, being old is a big problem. Look what happened again in the Quran with another one of the wali of the awliya of Allah, Musa salawatullahi wassalamu alayhi. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the ayat, in the story after he killed the man and he left Egypt. وَلَمَّا وَرَدَ مَاءَ مَدْيَنَ وجد عليه أمة من الناس يسقون ووجد من دونهما امرأتين تذودان قال ما خطبكما قالتا لا نسقي حتى يسر الرعاء وأبونا شيخ كبير فسقى لهما. When Musa escaped from Fir'aun, he came to the city of Midian. At the water place, he found a group of people watering their flock. And he saw with them two women who were remaining behind. He said to those two women, what's your problem that you're not watering your flock? They said, we're not going to mix with all of those men. We're going to stay back until they finish. And the reason for that is our father is a big sheikh. Our father is old. So Musa took care of the issue and he watered the flock for the two girls. From the benefit of the story is that normally the woman, she's not going to have a job or an occupation of taking care of sheep. That's the job of the boy. That's the job of the man. But because the father was old and there was no one else in his absence other than the girls had to take care of the father. They had to do the khidmah to the father. And they had to do a job that wasn't appropriate for women. Now we can understand the girls taking care of the father's job. The man wasn't related to Musa at all. But Musa, taking care of the haqq of the old people, he watered the flock of the man. So that's a sign and an indication that Muslims, we are responsible for giving the khidmah to those people who are around us, especially if they happen to be your relatives. Now listen, this is important. From the sunnah of Allah Azza wa Jalla is, if you take care of people while you're young and they're old, if and when you become old, people will take care of you. Man yarham man fil ard yarhamhu man fis sama. Anyone who has a rahmah on those in the earth, the one who is over the heavens, in the heavens, Allah will have rahmah upon that individual. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to teach his companions a dua with the same emphasis that he would teach them the Quran, showing the importance of this dua, showing the fitna of getting old. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiyallahu anhu said that the Prophet used to teach them with the same emphasis of teaching them the Quran, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-bukhli wa min al-jubn wa min an nurad ila ardh al-umr wa min fitnati adhab al-qabr wa fitnati ad-dunya. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from being cheap, being stingy. I seek refuge in you from being a coward. and I seek refuge in you from becoming old and infirm. I seek refuge in you from the fitna of the dunya and the adhab of the qabr. Those old people, ikhwani, at one time, they used to rely only on Allah. They used to rely only on Allah and then on themselves. They used to work hard. They used to take care of their own issues. Now they are in what the Quran called ardhar al-umr. He goes backwards. He can't see anymore. He can't hear anymore. He has to wear pampers. He has to wear diapers. He has to depend on and rely on his relatives and other people who leave him like that. They have the haqq to be taken care of, the khidmah of taking care of them. The Prophet, when he conquered sallallahu alaihi wasallam Mecca, he went and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu brought to the Nabi his father, the father of Abu Bakr. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Abu Bakr, "Lo aqrarta al-shaykh fi bayti la ataynahu." If you would have left him in this house, it would have been better. I would have come to him in his house. He was an old man. He can barely stand up. Abu Bakr's father, Abu Quhafa, was bent over. The Nabi saw his hair was white. His beard was white like the driven snow. The Nabi told Abu Bakr and the Ahl of Abu Bakr, غَيِّرُوا هَذَا بِالشَّيْءٍ وَاجْتَنِبُوا السَّوَادِ. Abu Bakr, you and your family, change the white in this man's head and his beard and stay away from black. Don't dye his hair or his beard with black. That's a proof and an indication. We have to take care of the old people. It's your responsibility to clean them. It's your responsibility to bathe them, to iron their clothes, to help them to get dressed, even if they're not your parents. You are a social worker. You are a doctor. You have to deal with them with the look that these are older people who you have to give them the khidmah. You have to take care of them, especially if they're your mothers and your fathers. In addition to that, ikhwani, from the haqq of the old people, in the book of Allah is that we have to have sabr with these people. It's not his fault that he's wearing pampers and diapers. It's not his fault that he's very tough in the way he speaks to you. The social worker comes to visit the house, and the old mother or the father or the auntie or the brother, the elderly person, sometimes they're grumpy, sometimes they're upset, sometimes they're difficult to deal with. Oh, grumpy man. He's grumpy because his mother and his father oppressed him. He's oppressed by his children. He lived a long time in this crazy society. If he reaches the age of 70 and he can give you a smile, that's a ni'mah. He saw a lot of jahl, a lot of dhulm in the life that he has. How can you expect them to be happy? That's just the way they are. Some of them. We have to have sabr with them. Allah mentioned in the Quran about our parents, but the ruling extends beyond our parents. وَإِمَّا يَبْلُغَنَّ عِنْدَكَ الْكِبْرِ أَحَدُهُمَا أَوْ كِلَاهُمَا فَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا وَقُلْ لَهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا وَاخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ. If your parents become old, one or both of them, and you find them like that, then don't say uff. Many people, when we read this ayat, we understand it and we interpret it to mean just don't be disrespectful, don't take the initiative. It means that, but it also means when your elderly mother or your father or any old person says something or does something that you don't like, don't give them any kalam. You have to be patient with their situation. You have to have sabr with their situation and say to them those words that are nice. The old man is tough with some of the young people in this masjid. He's always saying something to the young people, and he's tough. The young people should not say to him, "Get out of here, old man. Mind your own business, old man." The bus driver who's an old man. How in the world could the Muslims, the shabab of the Muslims in Alam Rock on the bus number 14, smoke marijuana, drink, play music? The old bus driver who's a Muslim gets out, goes upstairs to talk to them, and they abuse and curse and swear at the old man. What kind of religion is that? We have to be patient with them even when they're not easy to deal with. And we say to them the nice words, and we lower the wing of humility to them, and we make dua for them. So the sabr and the issue of sabr with the elders, your relatives, the doctor who has a patient, the one who is dealing with an older person, you have to be patient. The passenger who's older, the one who comes into your store and he's older, your neighbor who is older, the old grumpy man or woman. In this masjid, the old man or woman, you're supposed to say the kalima tayyiba. The kalima tayyiba is a sadaqah. From the kalima tayyiba is when the old man said something to you out of place. It's wrong for you to say jazakallah khairan ya sheikh, barakallah feek ya sheikh. He saw a lot, he went through a lot. In addition to that, ikhwani, from the respect that we give them is that we don't say, hey, Ahmed, hey, Bilal. We call him Sheikh Abu Muhammad. Ya Sheikh Fulan Fulan. Ya Ammi, so-and-so. Ya Khala Maryam. Those old women who are not related to us. She needs something and you see her. There's no relationship to you and her, between you and her. Don't call her Safiya Aisha. Ya Khala Safiya. That's from the kalima tayyiba and the adab of al-Islam. From the huquq of those people who are older. And as I mentioned, ikhwani, there are many issues. Is that we have to have etiquette with these people. Adab. Adab. The Nabi told the people about older people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when a group of young people came. For 20 days, they learned the deen in al-Madinah. The Prophet told them, go back to your people now and teach them what you taught, what you learned from me. And when it's time to make the salat, let any one of you make the adhan, and let the one who is the eldest from amongst you, let him lead the people in the salat. He told them, qaddimu akbarakum. Put the one who's the eldest one, let him be the imam. Having age is a determining fact in the deen. It's something that has i'tibar. It can be the eldest, can be the one who knows the most Quran, can be the one who knows the most Sunnah. But he said, let the biggest, the eldest one from amongst you lead the salah. He told the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sawidu akbarakum. Let those who are older, let them be the ones in charge of your affairs. Let them be the ones. They said, why, ya Rasulullah? He said, because if the elders are put in charge of your affairs, then they are going to remember the good morals of their forefathers and they'll teach it. And if other people older who are similar to them, from those who are their peers, if they see that they're not in the position of authority, they will disrespect them. Kuffar, look at our community, and they see that the ones who are talking on behalf of the deen are young people in the university, young people. They want the khilafah, the khilafah, the khilafah, jihad, jihad. The BBC, they interview these young people. Hey, you want the khilafah? Once it's established in the UK, what's the first thing you're going to do? On TV says we're going to kill all of you, kuffar. The older person is going to take that opportunity and say something that makes sense. Something that's going to be da'wah Allah. They look at us in our community and they say, look at these people, look at the fawda, the confusion. Because it's the youngsters who are in charge. It's the youngsters who are talking. It's the youngsters making the decisions. About those people and the adab. The adab. 3 men came to the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam after one of their brothers had been murdered in Khaybar. The youngest one, Abdurrahman, his brother was murdered in Khaybar. They came to the Nabi to tell him the story. Abdurrahman quite naturally is going to be the one who speaks because it's his brother. The Nabi did like this and he told Abdurrahman, Kabbir al-Kubra. Kabbir al-Kubra. Let the elders speak, ya Abdurrahman, radiyallahu anhu. You are working with an elder person. You have some tribunal you have to sit with. They have to figure out. You have some dispute with an older person. At your job, family dispute, whatever, in the court. When it's time to put your case across, tell those people, let the sheikh speak first. How are you going to speak before the sheikh? That's what the Nabi said. Let the elders speak before you. We come to an assembly, to a majlis. It's the young people who put themselves across. Even if in the majlis is a real scholar of Islam, as Sheikh Wasiullah Abbas came to this city, and the youngsters treated him as if he was just some person had no position, no consideration. That's from the etiquette of Al-Islam. Also from the etiquette is what the Nabi saw in a dream, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, I was dreaming and I saw in a dream that there were 2 men. One was older and one was younger, and I was using my miswak, and both of them wanted the miswak. So I gave the miswak to the younger one. And then Jibril came to me and told me, Kabbir ya Muhammad, Kabbir ya Muhammad, give it to the older one first. He said, I took it from the younger one and I gave it to the older one. The youngster and the elder are coming through the door of the masjid. Even if the youngster is on the right side, let the older man go first. Let the older man go through first. We give precedence and preference to those people who are above us in age, especially the people who have this whiteness. Not just he's above you 5 years, 10 years, you're 30 and he's 40, he's 45. We're talking about the people who are 50, 60, 70 years old. From those who we know and from those who we don't know, his age has some consideration. يُسَلِّمُ الصَّغِيرُ عَلَى الْكَبِيرُ. The youngster, the younger one, he initiates the salams to the one who is older. And I say it again. The way of the Brahwis, the way of the Deobandis, the majority of the Muslims from Pakistan in this city, in this country, I believe that their way is astray. Dalala. I don't say that they're kuffar. You see the old Brahwi man with the green turban walking in the street, and he doesn't look very happy. As a younger person from Ahl al-Hadith, Ana Salafiyah, from our religion, is to say to that old man, Assalamu alaikum. To open up that door for that old man. Part of the reason why he's in that condition is his background. So we have to have rahmah on those individuals. Lower the wing of rahmah on those individuals. As for the older person who is an individual of innovation, he's in charge of the institution Minhaj al-Quran. He has white and he's older. This individual, we don't give him salams. This individual, we don't respect him that way. Just because he's older in this sense, he has forfeited all of the right to be respected because he's an imam of shirk and bid'ah, an imam of kufr. But we're talking about just the regular people. Their age has given them a position in the deen of Allah, and from that position, don't call them by their names. Don't swear in front of them. Smoking cigarettes is haram. It's haram. But those who do smoke, when our elders used to smoke, when smoking started in the 20s, in the 30s, when our elders used to smoke, and smoking is haram, they wouldn't smoke in front of older people. They wouldn't smoke in front of other older people. They wouldn't do it. But the generation that we're living in now, the me, myself, and I generation, the man will take the older person by his beard and squeeze his beard. In this masjid, a long time ago, one of the young jahil of our community hit the old man in his stomach, elbowed the old man in his stomach, and then we say, that's Salafiyah? That's ghira and tawheed and the sunnah? No, that's disrespectful. That's from the ways that even the Yahud were not upon that. The Yahud, the brothers of Yusuf, they said to Yusuf, don't take the young boy Binyamin. If you take him, his father's going to be upset. And surely he was upset. قال يا أسفا على يوسف وابيضت عيناه من الحزن فهو كظيم. He became so distraught and upset, Yaqub, that he went blind. He went blind because he was suffering for his son. So even the Yahud back then knew from ihsan is pay attention to the feelings of the elderly. Is he cold? Is he hot? Is he hungry? Is he anxious? What's his problem? What's his issue? And what can I do to alleviate his issue? What can I do to help his problem? He's in the old folks' home, and he's abandoned in the old folks' home, and he has bed sores, and he's being oppressed. The Muslim, he or she works as a home carer, goes to someone's house, and they take care of old people. He's in the hospital taking care of old people. They're kuffar. They're not your relatives. You have to look at that patient. You have to look at that elderly patient with the eye of al-Islam. From respecting Allah is respecting the person who is elderly, whether he's a Muslim or not, whether he's your relative or he's not your relative. Fear Allah Azza wa Jal, Ummat al-Islam, in these elderly people, the ones who you see around you. Just look around this masjid. Fear Allah concerning those elderly people who are your relatives and related to you. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ونسأل الله تعالى التوفيق والسداد. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. إخواني, every culture, Somali, Arab, Africans, every culture in here, every ethnic group in here, we tend to go overboard with dealing with the elderly and dealing with the youngsters. We lose the balance and the equilibrium. This khutbah that we just gave, it does not mean for you older person, you older people, it does not mean that you have the right and the authority to oppress young people. Doesn't mean that. You marry her off to who you want to marry her off to. You don't let her get married to who she wants to get married to, and you make it difficult. It doesn't mean that that's okay. These people who came here and they're in the first row, no older person has the right to come and say, hey, get out of here, you're young, get out of here. Now, if he said that to you, get out and let him have the position, but it doesn't make it right. Older people shouldn't look at the issue like that. He got here first, and he has just as much right to the position as you do. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, someone brought him a bowl of milk. He drank his portion. On his right was a little boy, To his left was Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, the sheikh. To his left were some more older people. The Nabi drank. He said to the boy, acknowledging the haqq of the boy, you're next in line. It started with me, I have to go to my right. Hey, do you want me? If you don't care, I'll give it to the shiyukh. The boy said, la wallahi, la wallahi. I don't want anyone to be preferred over me when it comes to you. So the Nabi gave him the bowl and the boy drank it and it went around that way. Abdullah ibn Abbas, Umar radiallahu anhu used to let him sit in the assembly, in the majlis of the shayukh, who used to get upset from the companions. Why is he here? Why is he here? We have young children like him. Why is he here? 18 years old, 19 years old. Umar radiallahu anhu put him there because of his knowledge of the deen. So if the young boy, the young person, your daughter, your son, your nephew, those people know what they're talking about. They know this religion. They're not into Hazir Nazir. They're not into Khatam. They're not into the shirk and the khurafat that came from that area and that part of the world that you were raised up on. Just because you're older doesn't mean you're always right, nor does it mean that they don't have something to say. They have something to say, and you should be patient with that issue as well. So the story and the moral here of the story is the elderly, they have to be willing and ready to pass the baton off in the race to the youngsters. Cultivate your children to put them in a position to assume authority. And youngsters have to respect their position and not try to forcefully take the baton and leadership away from them. It is a dual responsibility. The elderly respect the youngsters and have mercy upon them. And the youngsters respect the elderly and have mercy upon them. But between the two, the elderly are a'la, arfa, asma. They're better. من شاب شيبة في الإسلام كانت له نور يوم القيامة. Anyone who became white in Islam, he'll have that whiteness as a source of light for him yawm al-qiyamah. We ask Allah Ta'ala to have mercy upon our elderly, to forgive our elderly, to give us the patience with our elderly, to help us to give them the khidmah. Oh Allah, have mercy upon the shuyukh of this ummah and those women who are older, and help us to deal with them in a way that you are pleased with. And have mercy upon our shabab and give us the strength to follow those elder people in what is right, and protect our shabab from the craziness and the nonsense that people are passing off as al-Islam. Aqim as-salat yarhamakumullah.
غرباء